get out, making us all laugh all the time. And when we lived in La Reunion after the war, he got a bicycle, a used bicycle for Christmas. And we all rode the wheels off that bicycle. He never told any of us we couldn't ride it. He shared it with all of us all the time. He always had a paper route to make money, and we all would walk around and do the collecting for him to help him with it. We pitched in together as kids. And when I think about my mother, I see my mother with her arms out like this, pulling us in, pulling our 3 kids in, keeping us together. Because it was hard. It was really hard. But I think back on it, it was harder for Daddy. But we didn't know. We were just teenagers. We were kids. We didn't understand. We just knew he was failing us completely. Mm-hmm. And in a way, we were kind of all on our own, but trying to stick together for Mother. But Marge met Cliff, and they got married at 16. Everybody thought Marge was pregnant. She wasn't pregnant. She didn't have Joe for 3 years after that. She just had to leave home.
She was looking for her way out.
She was looking for her way out.
And you were about 13 at that time.
I was 15 when she and Bill was in my life, but beginning to fade out of my life because he had moved over to Fort Worth to go to TCU. Mm. And then pretty soon after we left La Reunion, our lives began to kind of fall apart. And I've told y'all all of that. You know that story already about Mother remarrying Daddy when I was graduating from high school because he promised her he had a good job in Houston, and if she would move to Houston, they could help pay my way to college. And she so much wanted me to go to college.
And he lied to her?
Well, he couldn't keep the job. She transferred with Allstate, thank goodness, so she had a job when she got there. But Daddy couldn't work.
Like most alcoholics, he had good
do
intentions and noble desires that he just couldn't fulfill.
And they were good intentions and noble desires, but
and
he couldn't.
And when you fail, that makes you drink even more.
Yes, he couldn't do it. He couldn't do it. So between my freshman year and my sophomore year of college, and I paid my own way. They were never able to send me a dime. As a matter of fact, I made enough money working 2 jobs my freshman year at college that I sent Mother $25 a month to help her out. Now that's how I learned to be independent and to take responsibility. Bud was living in Houston with them, but he was long gone. He had a job. He quit high school. Mother didn't know where he was. He was taking care of himself. And I went home between my freshman and sophomore year. Mother got me a little job at Allstate for the summer. And Bud was, they had a, I don't know what you call it, a little teeny apartment. It had a bedroom and a living room no bigger than this dining room, if that big. A kitchen that was about as wide from this table to there that you could barely get through. And in the living room was a Murphy bed that you could pull out. And all that summer, Mother slept with me in that Murphy bed. And I don't know where Bud was. He had a paper route. We did the collecting for him. He had a job at a service station and a paper route. He threw the paper route. Mother and I would walk around and do the collecting because that's what you did then. Mm-hmm. You didn't have envelopes where you paid. You had to walk around and do the collecting. And I remember Daddy accusing Mother and me of being whores.
Bringing home money?
Because we were walking around in shorts collecting.
Because it was 1,000 degrees.
Yeah, this was in Houston. And he had deteriorated terribly by this time. And so Bud was out of that little tiny place where he was, and I was there in the Murphy bed with Mother. And so we did everything we could not even to be in there because Daddy couldn't get out of bed. He couldn't get out of bed without a drink. It was the worst of alcoholism. It's everything you've seen in movies. You know, it was totally non-functioning, sick, desperate sickness for Daddy. So when I left to go back to school, and I was able to save some money with that job so that I could get back into TCU, I told Mother I wouldn't come home anymore. That was it. I was done. And Bud had moved out when I came home. There was no place for him. And, you know, he was in touch with Mother. He was probably staying with friends. And he said, I'll never be back. We're all done. We're gone. We're out of here. So she divorced Daddy a second time. And then Bud moved back in with her. But he was always on his own. From the time Buddy was 11 or 12 years old, he was on his own.
How old was he when he first got married?
Well, we were living in Houston. It was